I was watching Space, the New Frontier, at the Mugar Omni Theater, the very first immersive theater ticket I got with my membership discount. And when Chris Pine explained how NASA's Artemis program was building towards putting humans back on the moon, Mission 1 having been in 2022 to just test the hardware, Mission 2 coming up next April being to do the same thing but with people on board, and then Mission 3 in 2027 to actually land astronauts on the moon for the first time in over 55 years by that point. I realized how I live my life pretty similarly. I don't do big leaps typically, I run missions. Like how each of my Boston outings was a mission to do small tests, data collection, and refinements, all leading toward something greater. But before I get more into the NASA approach, as we're going to call it from here, be sure to give this video a like, comment how you use the NASA approach in your life, subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations, and last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. But yeah, the Artemis missions that I specified earlier are all to lead up to Artemis 4 at some point in the future, the debut of humanity's first lunar space station, expanding long-term exploration. See, NASA doesn't rush milestones. Each mission prepares for the next. And I just remembered that's also in The Martian, where NASA had already sent equipment for the next mission after Mark Watney's from that movie. Go watch The Martian. It's on Netflix right now. It is great. So NASA's approach essentially boils down to launch, test, learn, refine. And that's how I've learned to approach my own life and routines. Space the New Frontier just made me realize that while I was sitting in the Mugar Omni Theater. My own Artemis 1 was adult night at the Museum of Science. My first time taking the commuter rail alone as an adult, with the goal to see how it worked and confirm I could do it. After which I walked to Saunders Castle for moonwalkers, then through the Boston Common and Public Garden to meet my friend, who gave me a ride after we got pictures at the Goodwill Hunting bench. It was a success because I proved I could travel, explore, and connect mostly independently because, well, my friend was joining me, but I was prepared to figure out getting home all on my own if it came down to that. My Artemis 2, the second mission before the new series of Boston outings, was to test navigation from the commuter rail to AMC Boston Common and experience an actual movie screening when I went to see F1 in IMAX back in August. I'm not going to count my Rocky Horror Picture Show attempt to the previous Halloween. You could say that was a failed prototype mission, but I did learn some things. More from going to the Museum of Science that same Halloween and testing all three immersive theaters and the exhibit halls. But getting back to August's F1 IMAX outing, I almost decided against AMC A-List because I confirmed I wouldn't be able to reserve 3 seats for extra arm room per showtime until I decided on the 2-drink solution where I now get an icy and a bottle of water every time, and then I take up both cup holders to secure space and hope that the people next to me don't need the cup holders for that. Yeah, each small adjustment was like NASA recalibrating a spacecraft mid-flight. Now, the reformed Saturday movie system I began last month was my version of NASA's operational phase, testing if all prior learnings could combine into a repeatable mission plan, if you will. Specifically, when I went to see The Long Walk as my first official Saturday movie 2.0 under the new charter of prioritizing the theater, and it proved the system works. with going to the earliest show of the day. The crowd had good energy, the timing was smooth, and it was an overall success, though I learned that I'd rather go somewhere else for lunch than pick up an AMC pizza or hot dog and then bring it into the theater. Though I will do that for anything that starts between 12:30 and 1. Later that day, unfortunately, I went to see the Toy Story re-release where Buzzkill Lightyear nearly derailed the whole experiment with his response to the phone users and the chatterboxes. That double feature taught me something crucial where not every mission needs to be a double launch, if you will, or it made me realize that I should only see the Saturday movie on Saturday, and then anything I've already seen that I really want to see on the big screen again, whether a re-release or something current that I liked that much, on Sunday. Hey, it'll also mean more time for the aquarium and the museum on Saturdays. Anyway, it's why I decided to go see Avatar: The Way of Water in IMAX 3D on a Sunday instead of trying to cram it in with Saturday. Well, also, there weren't any good IMAX 3D showtimes that didn't overlap or get too close to my official Saturday movie choice. Yeah, I adjusted my own process, like NASA adjusting launch protocols after learning from real missions. So you could say Saturday is the main mission for theater movies, then Sunday is revisits or bonus data based on what I observe. That refinement is what keeps the fun sustainable. My routine was no longer chaos, but controlled experimentation. Like how Avatar 2, with the cancellation of the Boston Commons screenings, that became my Apollo 13, which was a test of adaptation and improvisation. Because, like I said in my previous video, the Sunday showtime was canceled unexpectedly, meaning I would not be able to go see it in IMAX 3D at the Boston Common location at all, forcing me to reroute to either South Bay or not Causeway, they don't have an IMAX screen, or Assembly Row for a later IMAX 3D screening. I just booked a new showtime at one of the other locations, the same way that NASA troubleshoots a mission in real time. I reassessed, I rerouted, and I relaunched by booking that ticket to the IMAX 3D show at Assembly Row, because again, that would be easier to get to and require a little less walking. And seeing the bus route to South Bay from the Andrew Red Line station has me thinking I'm going to have to learn the bus routes. Yeah, despite that disruption and concerns I had with the way people in the theater were behaving before the movie began, I got to experience Avatar 2 exactly as James Cameron intended, with pure IMAX 3D immersion. Like Apollo 13 returning safely to Earth, I turned that setback into a success through quick thinking and flexibility, because I literally looked it up and booked it while I was in line for the concession stand at the Boston Common location. This experience cemented my belief that adaptability isn't just survival, it's part of the mission design. And I could say the same thing about the Museum of Science and my experiences with the Lightning Show. I've talked about on this channel before, I'm going to talk about again how last Halloween I was stuck standing in the back of the Lightning presentation, which I thought was due to field trips filling all the seats. And I thought, hey, if I go on adult night, maybe I'll get a front row seat because it'll all be adults. But no, it's not the audience's average age that affects my ability to get the front row seat. As I learned from my experience from that, where I ended up having to stand in the exact same position as I did on Halloween, I realized it was my timing, which is why last Saturday I arrived 20 minutes before showtime, and that's when I entered the exhibit halls, and I went straight to the Theater of Electricity and secured that front row seat. Yeah, success doesn't always require new conditions, just refined timing. Though maybe it helps that it was a weekend and therefore there weren't any field trips going on that day. So, in the weekdays, there's bound to be field trips of schools from however far from Boston coming in to go to the Museum of Science, like the one I went on in 5th grade. Whereas on the weekends, it's simply parents or other supervising adults independently bringing their children. And it's also when adults who have work on the weekdays are able to get out and go to the museum. Anyway, like NASA planning Artemis 4, my next mission set on the public transportation front now that I've pretty much gotten used to the way that the subway moves is to master the bus routes to reduce the walking strain and connect to more destinations. Like South Bay, instead of walking nearly 3/4 of a mile from the Red Line there and then back, I've learned that my world will grow as I learn new systems and adapt them into my weekend routines. Every experiment from A-list seat logistics to navigating the MBTA is all data, and just like NASA, I use it all to design the next mission, hence the NASA approach. Yeah, you don't need to conquer the moon every weekend. You just need to make your next mission a little smarter than the last. So that's why I say when it comes to living life, living and learning, like the song from Sonic Adventure 2 said, test something new, learn from it, and then refine the process. Or with figuring out the lightning presentation seating after standing in the back both on Halloween and Adult Night, I realized from last Saturday that 20 minutes before showtime is the best time to sit down and get a front row seat there. Or like changing my Saturday movie system. I went to see an actual movie there to get a feel for getting to the Boston Common from South Station, and then actually experiencing the theater itself, and then getting home, and then deciding on the 2-drink solution to establish my arm space territory. Anyway, the point is, growth is a series of missions. It's not one giant leap. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here for the video. You let me know if you've ever used the NASA approach in your life where you do a series of missions, you learn from each one, and then you apply it to future ones for a better experience. Be sure to also give this video a like, subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.